So in the last video, we added our customers page. Now attached to this video, you'll find some starting CSS code, which you'll please enter into your customers CSS file. This code styles everything but the images. So what happens here in the end is just setting some margins, paddings, and some inline block display styles. That's all. If we save that, and with it we go back to our page, well, we don't see that many changes. The text changed, that's cool. The images still look the way they did before though, for a good reason, because we haven't changed their style. We'll do that together. So let's start working on these images then. What can we do with them? If we go back to our HTML code in the customers folder, we see for the images we already got a surrounding container, the testimonial image container, and the image itself also has a class of testimonial image. Both images have that set up. With that, we can go to our CSS file and let's maybe start with the container. So in the customers CSS file, I will add the testimonial image container below my testimonial first of type selector, which is a pseudo selector to ensure that the first testimonial has a margin top and the second one hasn't, because I don't want to have that much distance between the two testimonials, only towards the top. And with that testimonial image container class added here, we can of course start assigning styles to it. Let's also already grab the testimonial image class though, because we will have a hard time setting heights and widths without also changing the image itself. So we should definitely add testimonial image here. And let's now start assigning heights and widths. So for the image container, let's start with a width of 80%, because if we have a look at our HTML code, the image container is sitting next to the info, and the info actually should not take up that much space. So if we set this width to 80%, and for the image itself we set it to 100%, we wouldn't see any effect unless we also set the container, the image container, to display inline block, as you learned over the last lectures. Then the image will respect the width of the parent. So with the width and display inline block added to the container and the width added to the image, let's reload the page now. And we indeed decreased the size of our images. So that's much better. Still, they don't fit into one line with our other text. Now, if we inspect that, however, so the testimonial info class that is, we see that it also does have the inline block display style. So theoretically, we could fit it into one line with our other image container. For that, however, we have to go to testimonial info and limit its width. So if I set a width of 20%, then we would run into that issue with inline block if it adds up to 100. So let's maybe set the image container to 70. If we now reload, now the text is next to the image. It's not a line in the middle, but it's next to it. Now, why does it have that strange positioning though? The reason for this simply is that our info container has vertical align middle. Our image container, which is its adjacent inline block element, doesn't have it, so it's not positioned correctly. If we assign vertical align middle to the image container 2 and we reload, now the text actually is positioned next to our testimonial image. Now maybe we want to play with the sizes again, increase the size of the info to let's say 30% and decrease the image container to 65. With that, if we reload, that looks a bit nicer. So now we already got quite a nice style. We can do more with that though. And by the way, also notice that of course right now our page is only partly responsive. For small screens this looks really awkward, and for big screens we got huge images. But this is something we can control once we reach the responsive design lectures. So with that we got a nice look on this layout, however. So what else can we do here? Well, how about a shadow behind these images? We can go to our image container now, because we want to add that shadow to the block level element, and add box shadow, and then maybe 3 pixels, 3 pixels, 3 pixels, and then RGBA 000.3 for a light grayish transparent shadow. If we now reload, our image does have that nice shadow, which looks all right. Now we also got that annoying white space at the bottom of the image though. This is simply an inline element bug. We can get rid of it by going to our testimonial image and setting vertical align on the image. Not on the container, but on the image to top or bottom. It will actually both work. Now with that, it gets rid of that white space. So that's a nice trick to keep in mind. If you got an image in a surrounding container, and the image of course is an inline element, you can get rid of that white space that's introduced to that inline element behavior by adding vertical align top. An alternative would be to set the image to display block. This would also fix it. It would turn it to a block level element and hence remove any white space after it. Both works. I'll use the vertical align top solution. Now with that, this looks quite nice in my opinion. Got a nice page here. Now one thing I notice is my footer doesn't work correctly. Let's quickly check this. Main footer is the class, but the main footer links class is missing. So let's quickly copy that from our other footer. Sorry about that. So let's quickly add the main footer links class to the unordered list and the main footer link class to the list items. If we save that and reload, this looks better. And now we got a nice customers page here. So this really looks all right. We got a nicely styled customers page with images that look better. However, what about that second image? Can't we improve the box shadow of that? It does have it. You can see it below the image. But wouldn't it be nice to have a little bit more box shadow on the left and right here too? We can actually add this by going back to the customer's CSS file and adding a fourth value to the box shadow, the spread. We can set this to 3 pixels too, and if we now reload, you see there's a tiny shadow to the left and top too, because spread simply defines how much the box shadow leaves its border, so how much it adds to the left, right, and top and bottom. So it spreads out a little bit, improving the look of this image in my opinion. Maybe we need more blur now. Yeah, this looks better. So this is the final state with which I want to end. This is how you add and style images. Now, keep in mind, background images actually give you more flexibility. You can position them easier, you can do more with them, but you should only use them for backgrounds because of accessibility. But as you saw in this video, styling images like this also is perfectly possible and can lead to nice looking pages. Again, the responsive part is something we'll extensively cover in the responsive layout section.